Snow season has arrived in Montana. Some people love it.
We love the snow, especially Luke here loves playing in it.
While some, not so much.
It barely even started, I'm already tired of it.
Plus, with the weather getting colder, emergency services officials are reminding you to know the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. And later, many people in Montana are wondering if their ballot was received. Election officials show us firsthand how ballots are processed and secured.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Thanks so much for spending your Saturday night with us. I'm Matt Holzaffel. Over 600 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 to report tonight. We also unfortunately have a few deaths to add to the state total since yesterday. Montana now has 258 deaths associated with COVID-19. We also passed 22,600 total cases and 8,000 active cases. Over 14,000 people have recovered, so some good news there. Lewis and Clark County reports 573 total cases to date, 321 active cases and 4 deaths. Cascade County showing over 1,300 total cases, 601 deaths, 601 active cases, and 14 deaths. Yesterday, health and government officials from Cascade County and Great Falls held a press conference reminding people that slowing the spread of this virus is a community effort, from wearing masks to social distancing to staying home if you feel sick. If you missed that press conference, you can find more information on our website. All right, let's talk about it. The snow is kicking in, which means the kids got to get out and have a snowball fight like these kids. There's even enough snow in some places for a snowman. Just make sure you watch your feet as you walk outside. You can see how high the snow is reaching. If you went anywhere today, you probably had to clean the white stuff off of your car first. Now, you don't need a meteorologist to tell you that it's snowing, but they can tell you how much we're expecting and when it might stop. Let's send it over to Grant Garland now to do just that.
Yeah, Matt, we've already picked up a few inches, and I thought I might go ahead and wear my snowman tie because, like you said, some of us have been able to actually see enough snow to go ahead and make a snowman. And also, the National Weather Service, they have already upgraded, or I should say, updated us with the latest details. A winter weather advisory now into effect until noon on Monday due to the possibility of us being able to see 4 to 6 additional inches of snow. And here we are. Temperatures right now 21 degrees in Great Falls. We are looking at 18 in Lewistown, 19 in Cutbank, and we'll continue to take a dive down towards the teens. Right now looking at some heavy snow making its way across Augusta as well as Great Falls and Teton Pass as well as down towards Stanford. And Wolf Creek also starting to see a few light snow flurries there. Winds 10 in Helena and 8 in Glasgow. Temperatures tonight 17 degrees in the Electric City, 22 in the capital, 17 in both Havre and Glasgow. And we'll have more details on what to expect as we head into the next couple of hours in a few minutes. Matt?
All right, thanks, Kurt. We'll check back in with you later. Well, winter is officially making its way into Great Falls with the first snowfall of the season. Some people love it. Some people can't wait for spring. MTN's Helena Forecast was out and about today to see how people felt about our first snowfall this year.
This morning, the city of Great Falls woke up to a fresh blanket of snow. With the first official snowfall sticking to the ground, it's beginning to look like a winter wonderland. Some Great Falls residents were excited by the sight of fresh powder.
We love the snow, especially Luke here loves playing in it, and it's just so pretty and it's really nice, you know?
But some people are already dreaming of warmer weather.
Well, like I was saying, it barely even started, I'm already tired of it. But it's been a pretty dry year, so I think we're going to have a real nasty winter this year.
And as the snow begins to stick, it's a good reminder that 'tis the season to get ready for bigger storms ahead. A warm jacket and a good pair of snow boots are fundamental to surviving the winter. Also remember to take it slow when walking or driving on ice, as over 75,000 people are injured in snow-related car accidents yearly. But along with the risks of winter weather, also comes a flurry of fun.
So this weekend, grab your gloves and your hat and go enjoy our first snowfall of the year. I promise you'll have so much fun. In Great Falls, I'm Kaylee Neitzel, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Kaylee. My apologies. Not the first snow of the year, just the first snow of the season. And we will check back in with Grant to hear some more about how long this is going to stick around in just a bit. Well, some new COVID-19 cases in Lewis and Clark County have been linked to a concert in Helena. County health officials are warning everyone that attended the Let Freedom Ring concert on October 3rd to closely monitor themselves for symptoms. MTN's John Riley reports.
Lewis and Clark Public Health are advising people that attended the Let Freedom Ring concert on Saturday, October 3rd to closely monitor themselves for COVID-19. Public health officials say multiple individuals that tested positive for COVID-19 in recent weeks say they attended the Let Freedom Ring concert in the Helena Valley earlier this month. Health Officer Drenda Neiman is concerned given that when they tested positive, they could have been contagious at the event. Neiman says right now it's not about the debate of whether the concert should have been held, but letting people know about potential exposure.
It's really hard for public health to do contact tracing in a situation like that, where we don't know who was there or who is necessarily close to who. Please watch for symptoms. Please be aware that you may have been exposed. Keep an eye and monitor symptoms and stay home if you have any symptoms. Get tested and certainly work with public health on isolation and quarantine if it comes to that.
If anyone is experiencing a high fever or trouble breathing, they should seek medical help as soon as possible. A significant crowd size attended the Let Freedom Ring concert, which included 3 bands, vendors, fireworks, and an appearance by Congressman and gubernatorial candidate Greg Gianforte. A large portion of those in attendance did not wear a mask or socially distance more than 6 feet during the concert. Organizer Jerry Steed says people knew the risks coming to the event and believes public health is trying to blame cases on the concert.
I want people to be safe. Of course, I think we owe it to all of us. But for the health department to act like everyone's too stupid to look out for their own self-wellness is ridiculous.
Last week, Lewis and Clark Public Health requested the assistance of the county attorney's office in regards to COVID-19 guidelines not being followed at the event. The county has yet to make a decision on what or if any legal action will be taken and are awaiting additional reports from the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
All right, thanks, John. Well, St. Peter's Health hosted their first of 2 drive-through flu clinics today in the snow, as you can see. The event was held at their Broadway clinic. St. Pete said they had enough shots for 300 people. They also had high-dose flu shots available for anyone 65 and older. Customers were encouraged to wear a mask and stay in the car as health professionals walked to their vehicle to give the flu shots. St. Pete estimated the drive-through process took about 5 minutes per vehicle with 1 person. The organizer of the drive-through clinic says this year is the best year to get the flu vaccine if you've never gotten one before.
If you don't do it any other year, do it this year. Protect yourself and those people around you. And a lot of people will say, well, I've never gotten the flu, but you know, it's not just always about you yourself. It's about those people around you that may have lessened immune systems.
The next drive-through flu clinic will be October 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the same location. Coming up, many people in Montana are wondering if their ballot was received. Election officials will show us firsthand how ballots are processed and secured after the break.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Field operations for the 2020 census ended on Thursday, but the Supreme Court still has some decisions to make on the once-a-decade head count. They're considering the Trump administration's appeal to exclude people living in the U.S. illegally from that count. The population tally from the census is used to distribute seats in the House of Representatives for the next 10 years. The administration wants the High Court to make a decision on the case before Trump's January 10th deadline to send the figures to Congress. The justices have agreed to hear oral arguments for the case on November 30th. With the weather getting colder, people are turning on the heat, but that could be deadly if you're not careful. Great Falls Emergency Services is reminding you to know the symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning. They include headaches, dizziness, and nausea. It's also recommended you have a carbon monoxide detector in your home because you can't see or smell the gas. Anything that produces a flame creates small amounts of the gas.
It can certainly kill a person, and it can very easily create long-term complications in the person's health. It can create long-term neurological problems as well as long-term respiratory problems.
If you suspect you're suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning, get outside immediately and call 911. After President Trump called into question the safety and security of mail-in elections, many people in Montana are wondering if their ballot was received. MTN's Katie Miller spoke with the Missoula County Elections Administrator, who showed us firsthand how ballots are processed and secured.
I'm Katie Miller in Missoula. Here's a look at every single step Missoula County is taking to verify your ballot and your signature on your ballot after you drop it off.
What do you think?
Montana is one of the few states that will actually let voters know if there's an issue with their signature on their ballot.
There's a form that you fill out and you include a copy of your ID.
After a voter places their ballot in the drop box, it goes through almost 10 steps of security checks.
And we're going to remove the flaps from every single one.
Revealing the barcode and signature.
Then we'll scan each one into the system.
Workers check to make sure that signature on the ballot matches the signature on file.
Update scan signature.
Before those ballots can move on, though,
we compare this to a numbered report.
In the next room, workers double check that report.
And marking off individually that that ballot is accepted and in here.
Missoula County Elections Administrator Bradley Seaman says he's confident in the steps Missoula County is taking.
There's a lot going on, and we've got a really great plan and process for it. It's just sometimes takes a little bit of time to make sure that we can do it correctly.
This room across the hall is where the ballots go to get sorted for one of the last times. This one says STJ. It's going to go right in here, and then it'll be ready to go be counted. But before Election Day gets here, a few more accuracy checks.
The time, the person who ran them, and then the number of ballots.
Then, come November 3rd,
opening that secrecy envelope, preparing them for the count. We then reseal them, open them in the counting center, and count them through. Each of these is a double check on the previous process to help make sure that these ballots can be accurately tracked and accounted for.
Seaman is also reminding people you can't actually drop off your ballots after hours. They're only available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Missoula, Katie Miller, MTN News.
All right, thank you, Katie. Some sad news here. Spring Meadow Resources in Helena announced they are canceling their annual haunted house this year due to the pandemic. The organization is asking for donations of any Halloween costumes, decorations, or supplies to make next year's haunted house an even bigger and better event. The assistant executive director says this haunted house is one of their biggest fundraisers each year for individuals that participate in Special Olympics.
The haunted house is one of our biggest fundraisers we do every year, and we had to cancel it, which is pretty devastating. It's a big part of what we do. But one of the biggest things we do for our fundraising every year, and a lot of people look forward to it.
And if you wish to donate, they ask that you contact their main office for more details.
Get this temperature tomorrow, our high only in the upper 20s for a lot of us, especially here in Great Falls as well as Lewistown. Don't go away. Our 7-day forecast, that's coming up next.
Stormtracker Weather starts now with Grant Garland.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a fun-filled day letting the kids out to play in the snow. I mean, here in Great Falls, we received over 3.5 inches of snow in Shoto. Get this, we had 3 separate accounts of folks saying, hey, we've received 8 inches. Down towards Helena, 5.5. Now, we are looking at still snow falling, and that's going to be the continuing trend, at least for the next couple of hours. 21 degrees right now in Great Falls, 18 in Lewistown, 22 in Glasgow. In Havre, it's 24, but we're not seeing any snow. Out towards Missoula, well, a little bit of a wintry mix with only temperatures at 42 degrees. Now, zooming on in here, Teton Pass as well as Shoto, still getting in some heavy snowflakes. Up towards Browning, though, and Hart Butte, not seeing any right now. Well, maybe just a stray snowflake in Hart Butte, but still looking at Conrad right now in between periods of seeing some snow showers. Dutton right now looking at snow. Zooming on in here close to Great Falls, we're looking at Vaughan as well as Ulm, getting in on some action there, as well as Cascade, also in Highwood. Also down towards the Capitol, we're looking at, well, a period, maybe a little bit of a break for those in South Helena, but McDonald Pass, we also have the Great Divide, and also Townsend looking at, and Williston looking at getting in on a lot of snow right now. Now, how much precipitation, how much rain have we seen? If we were to melt all the snow right now that we've seen over the past since midnight, well, we would get close to, well, just shy of 3/10 of an inch of rain here in Great Falls, all over 7/10 of an inch in Helena, and around 2/10 of an inch of rain in Lewistown. Now, again, this is if we were to melt all the snow that we have seen since midnight. We've received a lot. Now, what about the next 12 hours? We are looking at continuing to see snow, not going to be quite as strong as we've seen it over the past 24 hours, but we're going to see possibly picking up an inch in Great Falls, Helena, as well as Lewistown from now to around 10 in the morning. So if you're going to be getting up to go to church or maybe run some other errands, make sure that you are doing so carefully. The roads, temperatures are diving down, and we're already well below freezing, and we're going to continue to see possibly 17-degree temperatures tonight. So the roadways are going to be really bad, and we're going to continue to see snow fall. And in fact, because of this, we've seen the National Weather Service issue a winter weather advisory, extend that rather, to around noon on Monday. This is because we could be expecting an additional 4 to 6 inches of snow. Now, the Euro model, well, it is pretty good when it comes to dealing with winter weather. We could be looking at 1 to 3 inches possibly in Great Falls as well as Helena and Lewistown. Where the National Weather Service is concerned, they're saying that we could be looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of additional snow. Because of all the snow falling, we've seen our visibility is down to 2 miles in Great Falls, 4 in Lewistown, 7 in Helena, 1 mile though visibility right now in Billings. And as we continue to go throughout the night, we'll see the snow kind of taper off, kind of move down south before it starts to pick back up after 6 in the morning. That's what we're going to be looking at right around 9:30, snow creeping back in, and we could be looking at some heavy snowfall at times, whereas the rain stays farther south towards Butte and as well as around Missoula. We'll continue to see this throughout tomorrow, so heads up, we are looking at another snow day for us. Temperatures today overall only warmed up to 29 degrees in Great Falls and around freezing in Lewistown. Now tonight temperatures falling down to 17 in Great Falls, 15 in Lewistown, 22 in Helena, and 13 in Hayes. We'll continue to see snow as well for the next several days, really, with a mix of rain in the forecast before we see our temperatures dive back down to 32. And heads up with this next system, well, we could be looking at snow next weekend. Matt?
Man, all right, thanks, Grant. Well, the legalization of marijuana for recreational use is on the ballot in Montana this year. It's been a hot topic, especially in Gallatin County, which has the highest number of medical marijuana cardholders in the state. MTN's Annie Johnson has more on the effects that legalization could have.
Initiative 190 and 118. You've probably seen or heard about the two, especially if you plan on voting in this upcoming general election. 190 legalizes the use of marijuana for recreational purposes in Montana, and 118 sets that minimum age of purchase at 21.
You just go get stoned and you can go watch play some grand auto theft on the couch and eat some Cheez-Its. It's not a great lifestyle.
Steve is the treasurer for the Action Committee Wrong for Montana, which is against the initiatives.
You know, right now we have a worldwide reputation across the world, and what we've seen in Washington, Oregon, and Colorado is not what we're looking for. That's been miserable disasters.
And in most cases, you usually see a side against and a side for, but being in the cannabis industry has given this Bozeman resident a unique perspective.
I see why it's good and I see why it's bad.
Matthew interacts with customers every day who use marijuana for medical purposes.
My average patient is a 55-year-old male. So they use most of the time edibles for their pain.
But he says if the initiatives pass, that may not be good for some of his clients.
Our edibles usually range from anywhere from like 10 to like 500 to 600 milligrams. And if for it to be legalized, they have to set a whole new rules and have to cap people off. Instead of buying like one edible that is 430 milligrams, they have to buy 4 different edibles at a different price.
But he also understands the side for the initiatives.
People who are 21 who can't afford the medical card because they are kind of expensive, or they don't have the proper the paperwork because that is expensive to go get. It's not easy. Will be easier for them to go inquire of medical cannabis.
Both initiatives will be on the ballot for the upcoming 2020 general election. Reporting in Gallatin County, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Andy. MTN Weekend Sports Extra is coming up in about 10 minutes. You didn't forget about that, did you? Good. But before we get there, we've got some good old-fashioned highlights coming your way. After the break, we'll tell you why, despite suffering their first loss of the season, things aren't so bad for the Fort Benson volleyball team. Fort Benton volleyball team finally suffered a loss this week after being on quite the roll, but MTN's Isaiah Dunk tells us it's not so bad in Longhorn country.
It wasn't the result Fort Benton wanted on Wednesday night, a non-conference loss to unbeaten Manhattan Christian in 4 sets, but the Longhorns are looking on the bright side.
For starters, it was just their first loss of the season, and it was to the defending state champs.
I felt like we played really, really well for the most part. I mean, we had times we haven't had a match where we've had to play at that level at all season, so it was great for us just to see some great competition. And I was really proud of the girls. I thought we handled it quite well. Obviously, it didn't go the way we wanted, but I think we can learn from it.
It wasn't a matchup you'd typically see in a Class C regular season, bringing in a team from far away, a different district, a different division. But since both teams had to drop games due to the coronavirus, they each figured, why not?
They win state. They're always at state. They're always competing at state. So to play a team that has that big of a is just so important for us, and it really helps us know that we can go to state and we can compete if we get there.
Fort Benton will host the winners bracket of the District 7C tournament, and they'll also host the Northern C Divisional tournament. So with the atmosphere of their home gym, they're considering the Manhattan Christian game a postseason precursor.
And I just remember my coach telling us, this game technically doesn't count for anything, it's just non-conference, but I think we definitely went into this game feeling like, oh, this is postseason. I mean, it definitely felt that way, so I think we treated it that way, and that might be partially why we kind of got in our heads a lot, but in the end, it's going to help us get better.
District tournaments start the last week of October. In Fort Benton, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
All right, thanks, Isaiah. Well, ballots have been mailed. It's time to vote. MTN's Gabby Cravitt has our candidate profile for Montana's state auditor race.
It's not easy running for an office that not many people know much about, but that doesn't make Montana's state auditor race one to miss out on. One of the smallest but mightiest agencies in Montana state government, the state auditor regulates 2 of the state's largest industries, insurance and securities. On the 2020 ballot for Montana state auditor race, businessman Troy Downing and state legislator Shane Morgeau. Downing, a Republican who lives outside of Bozeman, touts his business experience and understanding of some of these highly regulated industries.
We just have too many people who are running for offices that have never done anything in the private sector. They don't understand what it's like to operate in the private sector, and it affects us.
Morgeau, a Democrat, says his most relevant experience is personal, watching families struggle to afford health care in his hometown of Ronan on the Flathead Indian Reservation.
We need somebody who's going to step up into this office and look out for people's best interests in Montana, not insurance companies. I think people want someone who comes not from insurance, but who's looking out for the people who comes from our communities and grew up here.
Both candidates say transparency, consumer protection, and protecting Montana small businesses are a priority, but they both agree where they disagree the most.
One of the things that I want to see in coming back to health insurance is having lots of options. You know, I keep saying having tools in the toolbox. I think having just one tool in the toolbox is not meaningful.
You know, I'm all about choices and options, as long as they're actually options that people can use and that actually help people in Montana. So, you know, we talk a lot about building a toolbox, and I think those tools should actually be usable.
Montana State Auditor also serves on the Land Board and is part of deciding the future of state trust land.
You know, the Land Board does a lot of work to do leases with farmers and ranchers. I'm a product of our public school system in Montana, so I know what the public lands mean to our schools.
But even on that land board and understanding what that means to our farmers and ranchers and making sure that we truly are stewards with a long-term goal of using those resources to support our farmers and ranchers and natural resource development.
Reporting in Gallatin County, Gabby Cravitt, MTN News.
Morgeau has been a legislator since 2017. Downing ran for Montana's GOP Senate nomination in 2018. We'll be back to check about that snow one more time in just 2 minutes.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, temperatures right now 18 degrees in Lewistown, 21 in Great Falls, and 25 in Helena. We are looking at a winter weather advisory until noon on Monday due to the fact that we could be looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of additional snow. And just to show what we could be looking at here in the next 12 hours, we are possibly seeing at least an inch, over the next 24 hours, we could be looking at 1 to 3 inches possible in our area. And also, let's just get a quick check at our Helena Forecast. We are looking at snow possible tomorrow, 1 to 2 inches possible, and then on Monday, snow likely. Matt?
Well, if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, look away. In the 6th inning of Game 5 of the NLCS last night, Braves pitcher Will Smith faced Dodgers catcher Will Smith. This actually wasn't their first meeting. Catcher Will Smith struck out in 2019 in his lone plate appearance against pitcher Will Smith. But Friday's matchup marked the first time in postseason history since 1961 that two players with the same name faced each other. As you're about to see, the Dodgers Smith won this battle. He's about to hit a 3-run home run off the Braves Smith. The Dodgers won that game 7-3. We'll stick around for a second here, see if we can see that home run. They're going to make us wait for it. All right, here we go. My money's on Will Smith. That's all I'm going to say. But, I mean, it's a win-win, right? It's also a lose-lose. All right, there it goes. Don't forget, we have much more great sports content coming your way after the break. MTN Weekend Sports Extra starts in just 60 seconds. Stay with us. Tonight, we've got some great sports features for you from all across the state, from Belt to Miles City, Townsend to Missoula, and beyond. But we start in Sims with the man himself, Tom Wiley.
Junior Mikey Leach was born to go fast. In the summer, that means he's here at the Electric City Speedway racing dirt track cars with his family. In the fall, that means he's on the football field helping the Sims Tigers to the 8-man playoffs.
I've been competing in a race car since I was about 8 years old, I believe, so solid 8 years now. And yeah, goes way back with it in my family. We all love racing. It's just been in our blood on both sides of my family, actually. And in the car, it's like nothing else. It's just like a person who loves football. They'll come onto the field and they'll say it's like nothing else. It's a high like nothing else. They just love playing ball. It's the same thing with those race cars. You just get in there and it's like nothing else.
Racing isn't just a hobby for Leach. In addition to the dirt track, he competed on the America's Rallycross Championship for Lowenbro Sports, which is owned by his family. They even have a course on his family's ranch, which Sims coach Jay Fredrickson learned quickly when he moved to the area.
Mikey's my neighbor. I didn't know. When I first moved out there, I heard this roaring engines and gravel fly, and I thought somebody went in the ditch, so I hopped on my four-wheel, ran over there, and it was Mikey and his dad doing these, they're race car drivers, and up and down the road. I'd never seen that before. I was dang singing. So, but that's what they do, and they're great. They're great people.
When fall camp started in August, Leach still had a few races left in the season, which meant some double duty on the weekends.
I mean, at the start of the fall a little bit during two-a-days, I mean, I'd tell coach, like, yeah, I mean, I'll come to practice, but I'm going to bring my trailer and my car with me, because right after practice, I got to head to go into town to race. And he'll just look at me and just be a little mad. You know, he doesn't want me getting hurt or anything. But I mean, it didn't really conflict anything. I didn't miss any races. I didn't miss any practices. So it all balanced out well. He's happy to hear the season's over a couple weeks ago. So.
But now the racing season is over. Leach is solely focused on a deep playoff run with his teammates, one of the most talented classes to come through Sims in years.
Yeah. My dad told me freshman year, he told me if you don't break every state record on the ground your junior season, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, but we all know this was a year. We've known this was a year for a while now. That senior class, they're a bunch of studs, and everyone's been watching them come up through high school. I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna be a good class, good athletic class. So
you get your ups and downs in this game. You don't win every play, but boy, they try all the time. They're trying to get better, and we have been getting better. You know, Mikey's had some great games. You want to have offensively. You want to have a multi-headed animal to try to stop. That's the worst thing to do defensively, is to try to stop that, and I think we got that.
Reporting in Sims, Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
The Belt Huskies scored a big win over the Chinook Sugar Beaters at home on Friday, and as head coach Jeff Graham puts it, it was really helpful to have their horse.
As is often the case, Belt senior Cayman Evans had a hand in all 4 of the Huskies' touchdowns on Friday. With the win, Belt locked up the 4 seed in the 8-man North, but they needed every last bit of Evans' skill to scrape out the 30-28 victory. Evans wasn't overly pleased with himself after the game, knowing he threw a third-quarter interception and made some mistakes with clock management at the end of the game.
That's not important to me. It's the mistakes that I make that I got correct next week that's important to me.
Yeah, he's not a big rah-rah guy. Came and just said, he's kind of one of those quiet leaders, you know, and it was fun to get those guys excited. I mean, we didn't even throw Cayman to quarterback till midway through his sophomore year, but that's the thing about him, like he's going to be happy, but he ain't satisfied. He's going to want to go and, you know, watch film and improve, and that's just how he is. I got to be ready to go. He won't settle on this game, and he'll be happy, and then he'll be back to work probably tomorrow. Well, he might go hunting tomorrow, but Monday he'll be ready to go.
Evans was a key focus on last season's Belt squad that lost out in the second round of the playoffs to Alberton's Superior. As you'd expect from Evans, that ending wasn't satisfying for him or anyone in the program.
Not just me, the whole team. We started open fields right away after quarantine. You know, as soon as we could, we got back on the field, had some open fields, and I think that really helped us this year.
As big a focus as Evans is, the Huskies wouldn't be regular contenders in the 8-man North without outstanding work from everyone else on the team.
And those guys block so well. I mean, they just, you know, he made some big runs, but, you know, then all of a sudden you can pound Garrett. And once we get TJ healthy, we start pounding TJ. And the play actions, I thought Aiden had a great game. They really took Aiden away in the second half. Our young guys had a great week of practice. That was the best preparation our scout guys have had, and I thought we were really prepared, and the defense knew what Chinook was doing.
This is the best school you could play for. I love the coaches, love the players, and it's a great atmosphere to be a part of for sure. But we say every game, we got the athletes, so we're gonna beat them second half because we can run, we can throw, we can do all sorts of things. So that's what helps us out most for sure.
Belt will be back in the playoffs again, and like last year, they'll face some adversity having to go on the road. Aside from a loss to Fort Benton and a close win against Cascade, this Chinook game is the toughest game Belt has had so far, which Evans appreciates.
Yeah, we needed to face some adversity, and we did tonight for sure, and I think that's going to help us later in the playoffs.
Now we can rest up, you know, get another week and a half of prep on these guys, which is huge. So we've had some successes, the 3 and 4 seed in the past. We've won a lot of road games, so they're excited, and it'll just be nice to have a week off and prep. We didn't want to have, like you said, a battle against Cascade or Chinook, because coming out of the North's a grind.
Belt has a bye this week before the playoffs. In Belt, Isaiah Dunk, MTN Sports.
Kicking a football is a lot like kicking a soccer ball. Easy to do, but hard to do well. And though Townsend Sam Lane might not get a chance to get after it on the soccer field, in the middle of October he etched his name in the Townsend High School record books for his prowess on attacking goalposts on the football field.
I just ran out there and knew I had to get my steps down pretty quick. My holder, Trey, he always reminds me, just stay calm, take your steps, and just kicked it straight through.
Lane nailed a 40-yard field goal to set a new school record for longest field goal made by a kicker in Townsend football history. Though kicking footballs wasn't Lane's first love on a field. Lane is a soccer fanatic and played the sport up until he reached high school, where there's no organized soccer. So he turned to kicking footballs. And now that football is on the brain, Lane's not happy with anything less than perfection.
That was actually pretty bad.
Okay, kick it 1. We got 10 seconds. Let's go. 10, 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, ready, go. 2, 1. Turn it up over there. Let's go.
That was ugly.
Though when Lane first tried his hand at kicking footballs, it certainly wasn't perfect, said junior lineman Carson Lillecoeur.
So I'm getting down on the line and getting down in my stance. And they snapped the ball, so I stepped down and I hear the ball kicked. And all of a sudden it hits me right in the butt. And it's like, oh, that wasn't very fun.
As Lane got better, Townsend head coach Travis Rao noticed and put Lane to the test on the practice field, hoping when an opportunity to break the record presented itself, he'd be up to the challenge, or at least be aware of it.
I believe he knew beforehand. He'd have to really ignore me a lot if he didn't. We even at practice, just a couple times, we'll just say as a challenge, all right, here it is, 40 yards, this beats the school record, and we'll tee it up and just see how they handle the pressure of kicking something that's beyond the school record. So I think he knew that it was 39 yards, I would imagine, but then again, there's 17, 18-year-old kid, there's a good chance he wasn't listening to me.
So with a school record holder giving me a 45-second crash course, I wanted to see how hard it truly is to kick a field goal. And it's certainly not easy.
Do you take a running start, or is it kind of a jog?
You just kind of lean, I guess, like that.
Reporting from the ground in Townsend, Sam Hoyle, MTN Sports.
Yeah?
Friday night's game against Billings Central didn't go according to plan for Miles City, but quarterback Carson Hunter and wide receiver Jaden Venable have etched themselves in the Class A record books.
Prior to Friday's game, Hunter had tossed 70 career touchdowns, which is tied with Dylan's Zach McCray for 5th all-time in Class A. He's also climbing up the top 10 in career passing yards. Venable, too, has joined some exclusive company in his senior season. Venable became the first Class A player since Billings Central's Doug Reed to record consecutive 200-yard receiving games, which he did in 1995. He's also jumped in the top 10 in career receiving yards and is Miles City's all-time receiving leader.
I'm going to cherish every moment I had with him, that's for sure, and I'll look back and I won't regret the 4 years that I've had, that's for sure.
Right now, it hasn't really set in yet. I'm sure maybe in the future we'll look back and on paper it'll stand out. But right now we're just chasing our goals, and goals don't change from year to year. It's to be at the top, stay at the top, and get better. So if we can continue building on that success, I'm sure we'll look back. But not trying to get caught up in it right now.
The two have grown up playing pitch and catch with each other since they were in elementary school, and that chemistry has blossomed on the field this year. It's not just on the football field, though, as the two have a special connection on the diamond, too.
Jaden and I used to run relays with each other, and we always thought that was a blast. And Jaden does basketball off by himself, but then on the baseball field, Jaden's our dog, he's our catcher, and love that relationship with him, especially when I get to come in and pitch. There's no one else I'd rather throw to, so he's the kind of guy you want your foxhole to go through battle with. So appreciate him and how we've grown together.
We just kind of read each other really good. He knows where I'm going to be. I find him, he finds me, and we just click. He just like in baseball, he throws the ball to me and I catch it. Anywhere he puts it, I'm just going to try to do my best and go catch it. And both sports, he puts that ball perfect every time.
Hunter and Venable aren't finished writing the final chapter of their athletic careers yet, but they've left quite the mark on the programs in Miles City.
You don't get blessed that much to have that very often, and Jaden's just a great player and a hard worker, and Carson's had a rough night tonight, but I've never seen him have a rough night before, so sometimes that happens.
This year with COVID restrictions and everything, we're not able to practice at the same time as our Froshmore kids in high school with us, but we're still getting plenty of fans of the games, younger kids, flag football, little guy, you name it. So still having an impact, even though, with this year and the way it's played out, it could set us back. I believe we're still doing a great job at, setting an example and, inspiring future Cowboys. So.
Miles City will host Laurel next weekend in the final game of the regular season as the Eastern A's #2 seed is up for grabs. There's still plenty of time for Hunter and Venable to climb up the Class A record book. For MTN Sports, I'm Alec Boffinger.
The Sentinel Spartans have plenty of star power. Week by week, the Spartans have headlined big plays offensively and defensively as they've rolled to a 6-0 start. But the behind-the-scenes players are just important, and two-way seniors in Soren Searoot and Donovan South have taken advantage of their opportunities and have helped Sentinel to this undefeated record.
Yeah, Donovan and I, we just try and make the most of our opportunities. We know we have a lot on this team, a lot of guys we can go to, and every skilled player around the O-line and everything. There's a lot of dudes that can make plays, so we make the most of what we get, and O-line's been awesome. Coaches put us in the right position to make plays, and we're just getting all the yards we can, touchdowns we can for the guys.
It's been great, honestly. We have a bunch of guys that can make plays. It's nice for Soren and I when we get in, make the most of our opportunities. We've just been preaching a family mentality this year, kind of we over me. I'm just proud of everyone for just being so unselfish and making the most of their opportunities when they get them.
South and Searoot rotate at running back and start on defense. On a loaded team like Sentinel, opportunities for guys like these two can be rare, but the duo tend to make the most of it, whether it be a big stop on defense or a clutch run down the stretch.
We're team first kind of guys, Soren and I. We care about team success over our success. I feel like a lot of teams are big stat teams. We just care about our brothers and watching them succeed and making the most of our opportunities when we get them.
Their roles can vary game to game, but the two don't mind, especially as Sentinel has rolled to an undefeated start and the duo have had a front row seat to that success.
Everybody out here, we just have fun playing together and cheer each other on when someone else makes plays. It's not all about yourself, so we really care about our 111 doing your job each and every play every game, every snap. So we're big on making the most of your opportunities and just enjoying the game.
It's been great. I feel like all of our seniors are leaders. We don't really have a select group of leaders, and that's what makes this team special.
With a deep team like Sentinel, South and Seaverd round out that depth with the leadership they bring and little details they handle.
Those guys they're good for about 7 yards a pop, and they keep getting better, but they know the scheme so well. They both played as sophomores, and just can't say enough about those kids as people. Number one, I'm super happy for them.
And the two have been on the grind together.
Donnie and I together, we've been through this, everything, so all these guys are like my brothers, but he especially have a pretty special relationship through all this, so it's finally paying off.
Soren and I are really tight. We've been competing against each other since freshmen, making each other better every day. He's just one of my best friends. Fun to compete with him and play football with him.
We're always wanting more, right? I mean, we don't want them to settle for what they're getting, and so that they're competitors, and so they accept their role, but they're working to constantly want more. And that's not just those guys, that's everybody on the team.
South, Seaverd, and the rest of the Spartans face Kalispell Glacier next week as they aim to wrap up the regular season undefeated. In Missoula, Kyle Hansen, MTN Sports.